Hey everybody, Chris here from the Nobody Greater podcast, and thank you for checking out the channel again today. Today we're going to be reviewing and talking about the game that occurred yesterday, the Las Vegas Raiders versus the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, as most of you have known, yesterday was a home game for the Raiders, and we came into this game 3-2 at home. So not a great home record, but at the same time, you know, we are at home. But I'll say this, a lot of people didn't notice this, but I noticed this right off the bat. The Bengals came into that game yesterday 3-2 as well on the road. So it wasn't like it was a mismatch or anything. It wasn't like the Cincinnati Bengals were super dominant on the road and they were just going on the road to other teams' homes and just beating them. Quite frankly, they had the same record that we had at home on the road. But they did what they needed to do yesterday to secure the victory, and that started with just running the ball down our throat. If you look at the stats, and I have the stats here, some things are very revealing. First off, Joe Burrow, he had less than 150 yards and under 30 passes. 29 passes to be exact. He completed 20 out of that. So crazy efficiency. Versus Derek Carr. And he had one touchdown to go along with that. Versus Derek Carr, who was 19 of 27. So one less pass completed, and two less passes thrown. But he had 215 yards with one touchdown and one interception. Now, if you hear these stats, you might be like, oh, well, Joe Burrow got outplayed by Derek Carr. But if you watch the game, that wasn't the case. Derek Carr was playing very poorly for most of the game. The offense couldn't get any momentum behind them. I want to say we had 6 points going into the half. Yeah, we did have 6 points. It was 10-6 going into the half. So it was a very hard fought defensive game in the first half. And that's what I noticed with guys like Perryman, Littleton, Perryman. I kind of get that confused all the time. Our defense showed up, to put it in simpler words. Our defense showed up in the first half. Yeah, we allowed over 100+ yards rushing and 2 touchdowns, which was Joe Mixon's first game of the year like that. But at the same time, that first half, they were playing outstanding defense. And I'll say the main reason as to why the score even got out of hand, because if you look at the stats, or if you really watch the game, going into the fourth quarter, the Bengals were only up 13-6. So we still had a chance going into the fourth quarter, but when you are constantly just 3-and-outs and you're not giving your defense a chance to breathe on the sideline and get some Gatorade in their system, what happens is they come back out on the field and they get the ball ran down their throat. And yeah, in some games you can get into a shootout like that and go back and forth with the running and the passing. But if you look at our running backs, they weren't as productive as the Bengals rushing attack. Josh Jacobs had 9 receptions, or not 9 receptions, 9 carries for 37 yards, no touchdown. And that's a bit misleading because his longest run was 18 yards. So you talking about 8 other carries for 15 yards. That is poorly execution when it comes to the rushing attack. And actually, I felt like we didn't run the ball enough, to be honest with you. You know, our running backs only combined, Drake and Jacobs only combined for 14 rushes, but Joe Mixon had more than double that on his own. He had 30 rushes for 123 yards. And he had the same average per rush, per carry than Josh Jacobs. And Josh Jacobs had way less yards. But that's another story for another day with that. The end-all, be-all is that we just didn't run the ball enough. When we did try to run the ball, the Bengals played outstanding defense as well. As far as Hubbard and what's his name? The guy who came from the Saints last year, number 91. He had all the sacks last year for the Saints. I can't think of his name right off the bat. Actually, I'll get it for you right now. Hubbard and Trey Hendrickson. Oh my God. If you watch this game, they was flying off the offensive line the whole game, getting to the quarterback, tackles for loss. Hubbard had 2 tackles for loss by himself, and a sack, and a quarterback hit, and a pass batted down. Same thing with Trey Hendrickson, a sack, a quarterback hit. He had 4 tackles. Hubbard had 8 tackles. So they're balling. They defensive line stepped up where it needed, to step up, which was getting to the quarterback and not allowing to run. I'll say our defense played outstanding too, up until the fourth quarter where they allowed 19 points. But, I can't really put it on the defense as much because they kept us in the game for the first 3 quarters. It was Derek Carr in the offense that wasn't getting any momentum going, that wasn't pushing the ball downfield, that wasn't scoring points. And we all know the margin of error in the NFL is 3 points. A field goal on average, really like 2.5, but we just say a field goal to be accurate with it. But yeah, we can't, as an NFL team, your goal should not be to go down here and get field goals, right? It should be to go and get points, but the field goal should be your last option. Touchdown should be your first option. But and the Raiders, I don't know why they didn't get that. I would have got it at halftime whenever the crowd was booing. Think about that. We're at home and our crowd is booing us for the performance that we put on, especially for them hard-working, paying people who pay good money to come watch y'all play. Just for y'all to lay an egg like that? Really? You heard it from the crowd early with the booing. And really, the main reason why they was booing is because, under the old regime with John Gruden took a lot of risk. He took a lot of risk. And sometimes that involved going for it on 4th and 5 or less. But as you see with our new coach, Rich Bisaccia, early on when he took over, we would go for it on 4th down. He would take that chance. But as of recent weeks, especially the last 3 weeks, he's just been laying an egg. He hasn't been taking any risk, punting the ball on 4th and short. I never played an NFL game in my life. I can't tell NFL players how to play the game, and I can't tell the coaches how to coach. But an observational opinion from a fan, 4th and 1, you should be able to get 4th and 1 under any circumstance. You should be able to get 4th and 1. Yeah, the defense are going to do what they can to stop it, but that's why you're a coach. Design the plays to make sure that your team is successful. And yesterday, I don't feel like Rick Bisaccia did that. And that's the reason why we're 5-5 right now. That's the reason why we're 5-5 and 3-3 at home. But, we're going to see, and to touch on my point about Rick Bisaccia, we're going to see what are the Raiders' plan as far as this coaching change at the end of the year, because I can't say that he's a better coach than John Gruden. But then again, I probably can't say that, there's a better coach out there than John Gruden. But I will say this, since John Gruden isn't here no more, boy, oh boy, would it be nice to have Jack Del Rio back. I felt like Derek Carr, just as a fan, had his best success with Jack Del Rio, and they understood each other and they had a chemistry with one another, even more than him and John Gruden. But I felt like Jack Del Rio got the short end of the stick. And now Derek Carr is suffering from it because you got people calling for his job. You got people saying bench him for Mariota. And to be honest with you, at this point in the season, at 5-5, the season isn't over yet, so I wouldn't necessarily bench him. Now, if he comes out in the next game, and lays an egg, then we might need to have a talk about benching him. But as of right now, there's a lot of teams 5-5 or 6-4 or 2 wins away from the Raiders, or 2 losses away from the Raiders as well. So I wouldn't necessarily give up on him right now with 10 games into the season, but These last 7 games are going to be critical and crucial for the identity of this team. As you know, as all of y'all know, we went through a lot to begin this year with Ruggs and Gruden and Arnett all leaving the team, but it got to be next man up. You can't sit over there and blame that every single week when your team is not performing and your team is not executing and your team is, quite frankly, not winning. And that doesn't bode well. That doesn't bode well for the fans. The fans are impatient. I think I seen it at the post-game press conference with Derek Carr where he got up on the stand. He was like, "Oh, I'm tired of this. For 20 years as a fan of the Raiders, I'm sick of this." Well, sir, you are part of the problem. It ain't like you no rookie. It ain't even like you've been there for 3 years. I want to say Derek Carr has been there for 8 years. 8 or 9. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but it felt like 8 years. And what do you have to show for it? I'm talking about as far as playoff wins, team wins. What do you have to show for it? And that's why when people were mentioning benching for Marcus Mariota, I wasn't necessarily against it. Now, I don't think that's the smartest thing to do right now for the team within the season because you are still trying to build chemistry. But at the same time, you can't be putting all your eggs in one basket with Derek Carr, man. If he's not performing, and I seen a stat about Derek Carr. He has, and this is true if you watch the games, he has 7 turnovers and 6 touchdowns in the last 4 games. Now, you don't need to be no rocket scientist, and I don't need to be no professor for you to understand that that isn't good and that's uncalled for an NFL starting quarterback in your 8th year. You shouldn't be having stretches like that. You know, that just means that you're not paying attention to your craft, that you're not taking it seriously. And I'm not saying Derek Carr doesn't care, but the way you're playing, you're not taking risk, right? If you can't dink and dunk it 5 yards, then you're either taking a sack or you're just tossing it out of bounds, right? Me being me, I'd rather you toss it out of bounds before you take the sack. But Derek Carr, he's real jittery in a pocket like that. That's why when a lot of people was mentioning Mariota, and I hate to go back to this, but when they was mentioning Mariota, one of their biggest criticisms of Derek Carr was that he's not mobile. And we all know that Marcus Mariota is a dual threat quarterback. He can throw, he can run. I wouldn't say he can throw better than Derek Carr, but he can sure run better than Derek Carr. I even remember him in his Oregon days, just running the ball, running up and down the field on teams. Now, this ain't Chip Kelly and Marcus Mariota days anymore, but even in Tennessee, we saw his ability to be a starting quarterback and be successful. In fact, I think he had more success than Derek Carr in Tennessee, but you know, I'll die on that rock alone if I have to, but I'm happy that he's our backup quarterback. It beats Mr. 4 interception Nathan Peterman. It beats that. I think we got the best backup quarterback, to be honest with you. We got the best backup quarterback in the NFL. And he's a great option, but I wouldn't necessarily put him in. I wouldn't necessarily put him in and just ruin the chemistry of the team because you got to think, we got an interim coach already, and we're probably going to be looking for another head coach by the end of the year because, you know, I have great faith in this team that we can get to the playoffs still and really do some damage. But letting these easy wins slip out of our hands and letting the Chiefs just continue to stockpile wins ain't putting us in that situation. You got to think, bro. Not too long ago, we were ahead of the Chiefs and number 1 in the division. That ain't the case no more because we can't seem to build any momentum and we can't seem to execute. And that's why we're 5-5 and they're number 1 in the division. And they got a fairly easy schedule. So getting behind the curve is definitely not helping our chances by losing to teams like the Bengals. The Bengals, that was a winnable game. Like I said, it was 10-6 going into the 4th quarter. That was a winnable game. And the fact that we could only manage two field goals, 6 points going into the fourth quarter. That's pretty. And then we allowed 19 additional points for the Bengals in the fourth quarter. That's embarrassing. That's embarrassing. But like I said at the top of the video, I don't put that on the defense too much, like especially going into the fourth quarter, because if the offense would have been doing what they tried to do in the fourth quarter the whole game, we would have had a different outcome. But because the offense was taking so slow to get up to par, since the offense was taking so slow to get up to par with Carr, you see what the result is, 32-13. And not a good look. Just not a good look at all. But I'm not really going to go on too much spells. I don't really want to do the long interviews and the long reviews for the games until I have the ability to go live on the YouTube channel, because I feel like the best interaction is the interaction with Raiders Nation and then all the fans of football. So I don't really want to make these reviews too long. If you're wondering why I'm cutting it short, that's the reason why. I want to wait until I have the ability to go live, because when I go live, then I can hear y'all opinions. I can let y'all call in. I can share my opinions even more, even longer. We can go longer for hours with it. I could do the hour format right here on video like this, but the reason is it's just going to take too long to upload. So I got to keep it short and sweet like this. But I hope that I did a great job of getting the point across to you guys that this was just a bad game for the Raiders. I can't even say that they laid an egg in this game. They've been laying eggs all season, especially the last 3 games. The game in the Bears, if we've seen what happened with the Bears these past few weeks, that was a winnable game. But okay, I chalked it up to, we're dealing with the John Gruden controversy, and he coached that game. But these last few weeks, I don't give no passes. I don't give no exceptions. We've just been a mid football team. I ain't going to call us a bad football team, because there is worse. But we have been very, very mid. But like I said, I digress with that. If you watch the game, you know how poorly we played the whole game. And all we got to do is just hope that we come out stronger with a little bit more fight the next game and really make this playoff push like we need to. But I'll end it at that. Thank you guys for checking out the Nobody Greater podcast with your boy Chris today. I really, really appreciate it. I appreciate it even more if you like and subscribe. That don't cost anything. That's free. Yeah, like, subscribe, comment. Comment your thoughts. Comment what you saw in the game. Comment what you think. Comment what you see our outlook on the season or the rest of the season is. So, yeah, Chris from the Nobody Greater podcast, please like, share, subscribe, share your thoughts in the comments. Thank you. I'll be back again sometime this week, probably with news and rumors. Maybe less on the rumors, but definitely with Raiders news and any additional breaking NFL news that might come about, because it seems like every football week we got some breaking news going down, whether it's our team or somebody else's. But yeah, thank you guys for checking out the channel. Check out some of those other videos on the channel if you would like to as well, even though I know it's past news now. If you're still interested in it, go check it out, man. Thank you for being a part of so much of what I'm building. I know I see the stain right here on my shirt. That's because I had some pizza rolls before I started this. But I digress. Please like, share, subscribe, comment. See you.